Which is better, anastrozole or letrozole? Do you worry that you might be on the wrong drug? I mean, why are some women given one option and other women are put on a different drug? And if you're having side effects on one, could you switch to a different drug and finally start feeling better? In this video, I'm showing you the difference between anastrozole and letrozole so you can finally feel confident that you're on the right drug that will keep cancer away for good. So which is better, anastrozole or letrozole? Both drugs are aromatase inhibitors used to treat hormone-positive breast cancer. There isn't a lot of studies to compare these drugs head-to-head in terms of survival rate or reducing the risk of recurrence. There are a few small studies that show no clear advantage for either drug. So basically, letrozole and anastrozole have the same benefit in terms of keeping you alive after cancer and keeping you cancer-free. Both work equally well. There's no clear advantage for one over the other. But I do want to show you some differences if you're having side effects on one of these drugs, but more on that in a little bit. So why did your oncologist pick one drug over the other? It's often as simple as your oncologist prescribes the one drug that they are most familiar with or that they've been prescribing the longest. As there's no clear advantage in prescribing one drug over the other, then oncologists just typically pick what they're most familiar with. But this could change in the future because there's currently studies underway that are comparing the two drugs directly to one another. Now, if you're having side effects from one of these medications, we need to fix that, and here's how. Both letrozole and anastrozole work by inhibiting aromatase and reducing the level of estrogen in your body. For estrogen to come into its active form, it needs to be converted in your body. It needs to be activated. And it's an enzyme, aromatase, that makes your estrogen active. So if you inhibit or stop aromatase from working, then it makes it so estrogen can't come into its active form. And this is crucial in reducing your risk of hormone-positive breast cancer recurrence. About 70% of breast cancer overexpresses estrogen. This is a lot of breast cancer survivors who are hormone positive. Now, these drugs work and have side effects because they're changing your hormone levels. When estrogen attaches to the surface of a cancer cell that's hormone positive, it causes that cancer cell to grow. It stimulates it and divides. Clearly something we want to try to avoid, and why we suppress estrogen with drugs like anastrozole and letrozole. This will lower estrogen levels and remove the fuel source that might help your cancer grow. Now, estrogen, of course, is produced by your ovaries, but many women wonder, after menopause, when their ovaries are now inactive, why do they need to further suppress their estrogen? I mean, your estrogen levels naturally decline during menopause, so the risk of hormone-positive breast cancer recurrence should be lower. And when you're in menopause, your ovaries do stop producing estrogen, but your fat and your muscle cells continue to produce estrogen. So the fuel source for cancer is still there. Now, letrozole and anastrozole, they dramatically reduce the level of estrogen in your body, even after menopause. These drugs will reduce the level of estrogen in your body by about 85% when you're in a menopausal state. This is often why the side effects of these drugs are so severe. The menopausal symptoms from anastrozole and letrozole will often be more severe than the menopausal symptoms that you experience during natural menopause. But because anastrozole and letrozole are different drugs, they do have different side effects. Now, you may have noticed I've been talking a lot about postmenopausal women, women who have already gone through menopause. If you're premenopausal, or if you haven't gone through menopause, should you really be taking anastrozole or letrozole? I mean, is it safe? Before menopause, your ovaries are producing estrogen. If we use these drugs in women whose ovaries are still producing large amounts of estrogen, then they won't be effective. The drugs are not going to be effective. Your hormone-positive breast cancer will still be stimulated to grow. This is why these drugs are only used in postmenopausal women or in premenopausal women who have had their ovaries shut off with drugs like Zoladex. You need that ovarian suppression to happen either through natural menopause or through a medication in combination with the aromatase inhibitor. Whether your ovaries get shut off through natural menopause or the drug, it doesn't matter, but we need the ovaries to be shut off in order for aromatase inhibitors to be effective. Now, if you're challenged in coping with the side effects on one drug, there is an option to switch to the other drug. A breast cancer survivor that I work with in the Cancer Freedom Program was started on tamoxifen, but was really challenged with the side effects of this drug. She was dripping with hot flashes. She said she felt extremely moody, and she was gaining a lot of weight. She had put on 20 pounds in the last 3 months, and her weight was continuing to climb. Now, she knew that her risk of a cancer recurrence would increase if she continued to gain weight, and she absolutely did not want that to happen. She wanted to stay cancer-free. She wanted to do everything in her power to help her do that, but she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to stay on this drug any longer. So she switched to ANASTROZOLE. And here's what happened. Her mood issues improved dramatically. She said that she felt like a cloud had been lifted off of her after cancer, and she was able to come back to life. But the issues with the weight gain and the hot flashes, they continued. This is often what happens when switching between medication. You may experience relief from one side effect, but when you switch, there's generally another side effect that will take its place. But don't worry, not all hope is lost here. There are clear things that you can do to help be free from the side effects altogether. It's possible for you, but you do need to take steps in terms of changing your diet, your mindset, and your exercise. This is what's going to support your body while you're on these medications. To help you with this, I've linked up your A to Z guide to staying cancer-free. This is a free download that you can get right now instantly. Click the link below to get yours. Okay, but how long should you take ANASTROZOLE and LETROZOLE for? Now, everyone takes ANASTROZOLE and LETROZOLE for a standard 5 years. This is standard across the board. But depending on your specific cancer risk, it may be suggested to you to take it for an additional 2 to 5 years. That depends on your specific risk. Now, that's just with aromatase inhibitors on their own. Some women may be started on tamoxifen and then switch to an aromatase inhibitor, or you may ask to be switched yourself. But at a minimum, you can expect to take these medications for 5 years. So how come you aren't put on an aromatase inhibitor for 10 years? Like tamoxifen. It's widely known that 10 years is the standard of care for tamoxifen. How come it's not the same for aromatase inhibitors? With the extreme suppression of estrogen in your body on aromatase inhibitors, there is potential for your bones to thin. If you're on long-term treatment with no estrogen, then your bones could thin, fracture, or break. The effectiveness of the drug and how it works needs to be balanced with the side effects. This is often why calcium and vitamin D are prescribed alongside aromatase inhibitors. You'll also likely be followed up with a bone mineral density scan to monitor the strength of your bones. And this is also why strength training is so important for your bone health now that you're on an aromatase inhibitor. You can significantly protect your bone density through strength training. Okay, so now that you know about aromatase inhibitors, ANASTROZOLE and LETROZOLE, the next thing that you need to know about is tamoxifen. I've linked up this video here, Tamoxifen Secrets. Click the link here. I'll see you in the next video.